What up? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And look at you. You done stumbled upon little OTB Saints, where we bring you all the latest black and gold coverage.
Who are the Saints going to draft? Who's going to be their quarterback? What does the salary cap look like? All that information and more.
Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe. A lot on the line for your New Orleans Saints come Sunday. Let's go ahead and get this thing started.
It's time to get to work, courtesy of Tiger Labor and Staffing, where they can help take care of screening, training, payroll, and more. Now, for starters.
With the shortest waiting period in the industry, Tiger Labor makes it easy to transfer top talent onto your payroll quickly. Tiger Labor personally vets your workforce, solve all your staffing needs, whether short or long term. They're not just forwarding resumes to you, but interviewing and dispatching in person every morning at 5 a.m. So, go the local guys. Go with Tiger Labor and Staffing. Guys, New Orleans Saints, Atlanta Falcons. Maybe the most underrated rivalry in the entire NFL. Mainly because, I guess, these are two franchises that have pretty much been wholly irrelevant to the national, to the greater NFL picture at large for almost their entire history. That said, when I first started doing radio, I read an article about the three great elements of a rivalry. And I'm trying to remember what the third one. One was geographical proximity, which obviously the Saints and Falcons have. New Orleans and Atlanta, two of the South's premier cities, certainly. One was competitive balance, which, yes, right, the Saints and Falcons, it's actually insane. Y'all want to hear the craziest stat that I stumbled across this morning, just out of curiosity, looking up the series history? Do you know what the all-time record between these two teams are? This will be their 111th meeting. They played 110 times.
56 and 54.
55 to 55.
Oh, man.
They are dead even. They played 110 times. These two garbage franchises. Only one time they've ever played in the playoff. That's how bad they are. Only one time. And yet, here they sit dead even at 55 and 55 after 110 matchups. So, rubber match coming up this Sunday. I can't remember the third element was. Maybe it was just hate. But absolutely, these two fan bases have real hate for one another. So, I cannot wait for this game on Sunday. And it's interesting, Jake, because statistically, the Saints dominate the Falcons in every single category. You look at points scored, Saints are second in the NFL, Falcons are 26. Yardage, Saints 9th, Falcons 20th. Passing yards, actually 20th to 18th. Falcons have slight edge there, but rushing yards, Saints 6th, Falcons 18th. Points given up, Saints 5th, Falcons 13th. Yardage against, Saints 21st, Falcons 18th, so right there. Turnovers created, Saints are 2nd, Falcons are 25th. Turnovers surrendered, Saints are 10th, Falcons are 19th. The bottom line is that, again, the Saints dominate every statistical category coming into this game, but the problem is injuries right now are muddying the picture for the New Orleans Saints.
Not just one, not even really just a few, but a bunch of injuries, and two guys in positions where you can't afford it.
Yeah. So if we just look at the released injury reports from yesterday's practice, Derek Carr and Taysom Hill both listed on it under groin and chest. However, both were full participants. But Alante Taylor, Demario Davis, Alvin Kamara, Cesar Ruiz all did not practice. And this is, according to reading New Orleans on Football's Nick Underhill, Cesar Ruiz dealing with a knee injury. Nick does not expect Ruiz to play, or he would be leaning towards, I should say not expect. He's leaning towards thinking he won't play. Demario Davis has a hamstring. He watched practice, so he wasn't completely absent. He was in his jersey watching practice. It's Nick says he's a little iffy on whether or not Demario will play on Sunday. Eric McCoy obviously will not, as we know that he is going to be out multiple weeks. And then I didn't know this. He said Alvin Kamara, it was kind of, so it's weird. I've seen a lot of references to a hip and a rib injury. in his injury piece of New Orleans on Football, Nick says hip pointer and broken ribs. But I haven't been able to find that exact terminology anywhere else. But Alvin Kamara says he is planning on playing Sunday. But if this man's about to go out there with broken ribs, give this man some credit, right? On a day yesterday, Jake, where we talked about being beholden to your teammates and whatnot.
Yeah.
Here Alvin Kamara is with no long-term security, a contract that he's unhappy with, and he's still putting everything on the line for his team and his city.
Yeah, and I can't imagine, playing with broken ribs in an NFL game for a full 4 quarters. I tried to do it against a half against Ole Miss, and it sucks. It is not fun. I mean, you take a deep breath, and you can just feel it. You take a hit there, and obviously you can feel it, and you make a sharp cut, and you're not even expecting it, and all of a sudden it's just shooting pain. So it is very difficult to do it at any level, but certainly in the NFL. So, we know that. We know that he is a real one, and he wouldn't be out there right now if he wasn't. He'd be probably holding out like the other players across the league, or he would have held out a little bit longer. He wouldn't have been at the facility during training camp, so it's no surprise that he's doing it. And the obvious statement is, with the Saints' new offense, it kind of goes through AK, and they need him in every way.
So outside of Eric McCoy, which was before the season probably top 3 on any list of guys that you really could not afford to get hurt, right? It's your best player, your most experienced player, your best leader at your worst position, and he's now out. Pretty disastrous. Outside of Eric McCoy, who do you think is most impactful on this list?
I mean, I think any offensive lineman, just because your starting unit's not good. And so if your starting unit's not good, we know your backups aren't going to be that great as well. Like Cesar Ruiz being on here. Like Cesar didn't play great, but I think him just being on there, we saw them move a tackle to guard last week, and it did not go well. In fact, it went horribly wrong. And I mean, you had guards running into each other because you have a tackle playing at a position.
I definitely understand what you're saying with Ruiz. I'm actually gonna go Demario Davis, and he's the guy that needs to see play more than any other, Jake. And this is the reason why, as I'm looking up, stats, right? I'm on teamrankings.com, like, wow, Saints are second in the NFL, scoring 34 a game. Latest 36. But then I'm like, okay, but we do know the thing about this offensive start is it was so abnormally good, such a statistical outlier that it's kind of like, we knew it's not sustainable. We're now it feels like it, like even if fully healthy, it wasn't sustainable, right? So now it feels like you're in some real trouble of coming back down to earth and then some. But then it was like a moment of revelation. When I'm looking and, the Saints are 5th in scoring defense, I'm like, oh, wait. And the Saints are plus 1.3 turnovers per game in turnover margin. I'm like, oh, wait. Don't forget, the defense is the strength of this team. The defense is not fluky. The defense is why you've been relevant to the playoff picture at all for the last couple of years. And so, as bad as it is offensively, the reason why you'll still have a chance will be because of the defense. So I need that defense to be at full strength. And that will set a hampered offense up with at least an opportunity to win. I'm not saying the offense will be able to overcome. I think it's going to be a really tough day offensively. Although I love getting Taysom Hill back. I just think this O-line, they look like a complete disaster outside looking in going into Sunday. These coaches are really going to have their work cut out for them. But the reason why you may win is because of that defense, okay? And so I need Demario Davis healthy and out there. He continues to play like a man who is defying time, and as long, and Alontae Taylor not as much because the secondary's proven they can kind of they can eat one injury and be still dominant. But
Willie Gay did play really well.
Last
game.
I think that it's again, Davis not a destined necessarily, but he's just such a leader. He's such a freak out there. And at a time when you are going to be so, the morale on the offense is going to be so down, I feel, from not having their vet McCoy out there and from maybe a banged up Alvin out there, that Demario, his leadership is as important as anything else. Like, as long as Demario Davis plays, I think the Saints have a chance of winning this game. A good chance.
I mean, he's very impactful. I mean, no question about it. You go sign a Willie Gay in the offseason for this. I thought Willie Gay and Pete Warner actually played really well against the Eagles. I think more what you lose in leadership and probably just having him on the field more than anything in a contest like this. And, yeah, I agree with you as far as Lante Taylor right now, where the Falcons and their weapons are. I think you could, be able to absorb that one better than you could some of these other injuries, even though, like, obviously, what he did in week 1 and what he's been able to do and what he gives you versatility-wise. So I just keep going back to the offensive line because it was already bad and now it's worse. And when it's set up like it was last week, it's a bottom 3 team NFL offensive line.
Yeah.
I mean, think about, you lose McCoy. If you lose Cesar Ruiz, you have, Lucas Patrick playing center, which he's done before, and he didn't play bad. You got Trevor Penning, but then you got 2 new guards, and probably we would think more natural tackles are going to get those spots. I would assume Landon Young would get the other one.
You could maybe go with, like, Hergel, one of the guys, the UDFA guy, he could go center maybe. But, if you didn't want to move a bunch of guys around. But it doesn't matter. I like the names that these Saints are going to try to figure out the O-line puzzle with. I could say the names, and you won't recognize them. I didn't recognize them, so it doesn't really matter. Like, until they do good, they're not going to be really worth your time to learn about them.
Yeah.
Because the overarching point is what that Jake's making remains true. Still, this is a Falcons offense that hasn't been that good. They've been all right. Actually, not technically they haven't been all right. I think there's more potential.
Yeah, week 1 was bad.
Week 1 was awful. Yes, they've improved from week 1. But they still haven't been anything special.
No, not what we thought they potentially could be. There's some of those weapons that have not really gotten started yet. Kyle Pitts is still somebody that they thought bringing in Kirk Cousins would be able to raise his game to where they drafted him. It's just not even close. Like, that's a player that we thought was going to dominate the NFL, and he's just a guy.
Yeah. I agree. So, certainly I guess there's a potential that suddenly they would just start popping off, and more time on task, you would expect the offense to probably get better under Cousins. But the point is the offense has not been very good. Your defense has been very good. I think it's a defensive battle. I think both offenses are going to struggle. And I think Clint Kubiak can add a ton already to his mystique if he can go out there and put together an effective offense with the personnel limitations that he's currently having to operate under. And again, guys, what is on the line is kind of everything in terms of if you want to deal an immediate near knockout blow to a division rival. The difference between you being 3-1, a game up in the head-to-head, and the Falcons at 1-3 versus 2-2 apiece, and the Falcons game up, the difference is everything. That's about as big of a functional difference as you could get from one single game. So going to be a massive game on Sunday, 55-55. Can the Saints get it done? I think it all comes down to that defense. Wow, just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the 2 guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.